Well, formally, thank you so much for being here today. My name is Juan Soto Franco, and I'll be presenting on my little research that I conducted at Hostos Community College. I want to acknowledge the presence of two of my colleagues right here, Alice Nicholas and also Victoria Munoz. Thank you so much for being here, supporting what I've been doing. Thank you. Melody, she was the first person I met when I came into this classroom, and she's been very helpful. Well, her name sounds like music to my ears. Her name is Melody. Perfect. Alrighty, so my research has to do with technology. And in this type of technology, we're using smartphone. We are using a digital app called the Free Dictionary and the free version of the New York Times. So based on these tools, we decided to go forward and try to conduct a research to see if students were able to improve their reading comprehension skills. So how did that start? Well, let's go back 30 years to the literature and see what experts like Crash and Terrell had to say about using dictionaries. And as you can see, she points out that language learners prioritize the use of dictionary to master language. So that was back in the days, 30 years ago. They were not even thinking about digital dictionaries. Let's keep that in mind. Some other authors like Zhang and Anwar, 20 years later, emphasize that learners' vocabulary domain translates into a better reading comprehension. That is, the more vocabulary you get, the better you are to comprehend the text you're reading. Rashidi and Khosravi, some years later, stressed the idea that students with a deeper and wider scope of vocabulary, again, they emphasize the idea that the more vocabulary you get, they can execute better in the reading comprehension assessments. Well, before we get started and doing this research, I observed some things. For instance, at CUNY-wise, we all have access to the New York Times for free, the digital version of the New York Times. That is, students, staff, and also faculty members. So I said, we have this resource for free. Let's see how we can actually use this for the benefit of the students. Then I came across an app called the Free Dictionary, and this one, together with the New York Times, well, I understood that they would perfectly match up to help students comprehend the text better. And the other thing I observed was that most of my students were using smartphones. Like, how many of you have a smartphone right here? Raise your hand. Oh my gosh, say everybody. So my students not only had one cell phone, some of them had two. Don't ask me why, but yeah. So in order to carry out this research, I decided to design a tutorial so they knew how to use this particular app. And this is exactly what you have in your hands right now. Times. And students, in order to illustrate how to use that app, what they do is that while they're reading, they would just come across one particular word they don't understand or they don't know. They would long press that word. It gets selected. And then a menu pops up. One says copy, the other one says share, the other one says copy all. Well, select all. When they click on share, since they have already downloaded the app, it'll take them directly to the options. And one of the options to share is the Free Dictionary app. So once they do that, they are already looking up for that word, which comes not only with the definition, but also with some samples, some examples. They're written in different colors, and that's what I wanted to illustrate here, like in brown. All those were are color examples. Then it has also some antonyms. It has a thesaurus in itself. So it has antonyms and synonyms and related words. And also it has translations. So by using this app, students do not have to go to Google Translate anymore, because right here they are using these dictionaries with all these benefits. We spent some time training them on how to use that, and as you can see, that's the handout I gave you. We moved forward, and right here we have some hypotheses we had. By using this app and the New York Times, I understood that students who use the free dictionary app will have a better reading comprehension of the New York Times articles, and also their vocabulary level would be enhanced by using this app. Some questions that we asked them afterwards, because not only we did conduct the research, but also we had some interviews with them. So we wanted to learn from them what the impact of this app had on their learning or their reading comprehension of the articles, as well as what they liked best about this app. Because it's not only a simple dictionary, the app actually sends out a new word every day. So it's like the word of the day, the article of the day, today in history. So there's several things that you can do. It even has games on it, like Hangman, and so on and so forth. We also wanted to learn if they wanted to recommend this app to other students, and those are the questions we focused on. The methodology we followed was an experimental methodology, which included two groups. It was only one classroom, but it was divided into two groups. One group was the experimental, which was would randomly use the app. The control group would not use the app. We had a total of 26 participants, where 17 were females, that's the 65% of the students. 9 of them were males, and the average age was 28. Among them, we had 61% Dominicans, 20 Africans, 15 Americans, and only 4% was Argentinians. This was an English class. Back then it was called 101. It doesn't exist anymore. That was back in the fall 2018. And those were the students registered in my particular class. Now let's move on to the instruments that I used. Again, we used a selected article. In this case, if I were to display this on the screen, you would see the article. It was about 2.5 pages that they had to read and in class. They also used their smartphones, and for that day I actually set the IT people to bring the laptops, also known as COWs, computers on wheels, so they could actually benefit from having the option of using laptops instead of their cell phones. But again, they would use their cell phone to look up the words in the dictionary. They had to use the free app, the free dictionary, and the reading comprehension quiz was something that they had to take. Again, the procedure was at the beginning of the semester, week 1, week 2, I had them create an account off of the New York Times homepage and also download the free app. Then we also had them practice reading the articles and searching for words on the dictionary. And the day of the actual quiz that they had to take, we sent them a link to that particular article, so they didn't have to waste time searching for the particular article, but they did just go to that link and get to the article. Here are the results of that quiz. As you can see, the Y means yes. Those are the ones that used the app. N means no. That's the control group. And the dash means that those students were absent that day. So we had a total of 26 students in this class, but that day only 22 showed up. So we conducted the research with them. And here are their results. Coincidence. Things happen. Well, out of those 22 students, 16 were females that day, representing the 73%. 6 were males, representing 27%. And the results are identical. 50% of the students in the experimental group passed the exam. 50%, that's 11 students, passed the exam on the control group. kind of shocking for me. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the interviews, the participants said that this was the best app ever. Some of them said that, yes, it helped me understand the text better. One student said, I can't use the app on my iPhone. I said, that's interesting. So when I approached her and I saw what was going on, turns out that when you long press the word to get it selected, iPhones don't give you the option to share that word. As a matter of fact, the only option is to copy all or select all. So you have to copy the word and then launch the app and then search for the word. Androids give you the option that once you select the word, it gives you the option to share it, and when you do that, boom, you already found the word. So that was the reason why she said that she couldn't open that on her iPhone. One of the students said, I not only used the app for our class, but also for other classes this semester. It's something very rewarding. Moving on, here are my conclusions. The results showed no significant difference between the experimental and the control groups. Things happen. But on the interviews, students expressed that their vocabulary increased, that they get more engaged in the readings, and this is one of the things that we wanted them to do from the very beginning of the semester, to get them more engaged in reading current events. And also they said that they will recommend this app to other students. Some recommendations I have, even for myself, is that for the future, I'm not too far into the future, but I would like to replicate this study, but this time with a larger sample. Instead of having 22 students, probably having 2 classes, and then one of them would use the app, the other one would not use the app. So let's see what happens. And one other suggestion I have is to monitor students' mastery of the app. So do they really know how to use it? Because I was under the impression that those who had to use the app did not actually know how to handle it. So that's my impression. Thank you for stopping by. Comments, questions? I have 3 hands. Oh my gosh! Go ahead, ladies first, right? So let's begin with Victoria.
Hi. So great idea. I like the idea of introducing in my developmental classes, and I like that it's very tech friendly for a certain generation. I'm wondering, your sample size was small. It was 1 class, and you said that there was no significant difference. But do you have any plans to try to replicate these studies? And because over time, you might actually see some kind of difference.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I suggested, and this replicated study using a larger sample. But this could continue being done internally, because this is what we call an action research, and that's the title of our presentation. And classroom research. So by doing this in small groups, I think I can do that. I can replicate it over time to see what happens, what changes. And again, I would have to control for those variables, such as knowing that students actually master the use of the app, to make sure that when they are assigned to use the app, they actually know how to use it.
But you assessed the outcomes based on the results of the exam, right?
Yes.
Have you considered maybe assessing the effectiveness of the app using some other heuristic, some other tool for assessing how well it's affecting your learning?
That's an interesting idea. What would you suggest, Victoria?
Vocabulary tests, for example,
Good.
or something like that. Something that more directly tests language acquisition.
Absolutely. I like that idea. Thank you so much for your contribution. Alice, you're next.
Yeah, I also think it's an excellent idea. In fact, I would love to use it. In my English 110 classes, it seems like it can work not only with developmental, but with, all the English classes actually, as students are constantly looking to better their vocabularies. But I have a question about the process. So, okay, from what I've read, students either worked on smartphones or on the computer on wheels, right? And my students do download or they do sign up for the New York Times. I just was not aware, and let me know if this is the case, that when you're looking at the New York Times online, that you're saying is it the left click if you just click on it for, like you stay with it like a long press?
Long press, right.
Long press, that these options come up. I was not familiar with that. I mean, I know that, you know, a lot of the articles supply a lot of links, and that's wonderful, but I was not aware that you can stay on a word and get this option.
Yes, yes.
And this is with the smartphone or the computer?
No, not with the computers. With the computers, you will have to double click on that particular word and right click to share it with the app.
Oh, okay.
But on the iPhone, I mean on the phones, you would long press it to get it selected. That's equivalent to double clicking on that word.
Okay.
And then on the smartphones, what it does is that displays the options, as you can see on the handout, those three options. And on the share, once you do that, it shares. I encourage everyone to download this app. I mean, test it out.
But the app has to be downloaded first, correct?
Yes, the app, and that's what I had my students do on their cell phones, week 1, week 2.
Okay, so is it the downloading of the app that makes it so that the New York Times, all the words in the New York Times are now open?
Searchable?
Yeah. Is it
absolutely.
because of the app, or does the New York Times already have it like that?
No, it's not a New York Times thing. It's something that is embedded, I would say, on the cell phones, the smartphones. Okay, so it's a capability that you have to share that particular word, not only with the free dictionary, but other applications, even for social media. If you wanted to share it with Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and so on and so forth, you would do that.
Okay,
share
and
that.
and the free dictionary also on the computer is a thing. It is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
I haven't forgotten about you. What's your name?
My name is Dallas Lee.
Dallas Lee, Mr. Lee.
And I'm a student at City Tech.
Oh, okay, welcome.
Community representative at City College. One university, 2 boroughs, 2 campuses, 2 votes. Wanted to know if you participate in any of the groups, I think they're faculty and staff, whose focus is writing across the curriculum.
I have participated in about 2 meetings not with WAC, that's writing across the curriculum. No, not that one. I misunderstood your question. But there is, at Hostos, there is a group that meets to write research. And they have encouraged me to continue writing. But writing across the curriculum is an excellent idea. And I think our chairperson, the English department, she's part of the WAC, writing across the curriculum, so I might just get in touch with her for this purpose.
And my other question is, do you get news from the Open Lab group at City Tech? They're doing a project that they presented. There was a CUNY-wide conference. They presented this project on mapping Brooklyn. And they use the open educational resources drawn from the New York Times. And I think there was some drawn from the visual image database in the New York Public Library. But that was my circuitous way of asking, do you like the idea of having some conversation with the people at City Tech and the Open Lab, since they hosted a Writing Across the Curriculum conference for Holmes University and our CUNY Graduate School of Journalism, who I don't know if I would describe them as being embedded in the New York Times or if the New York Times is embedded in them. They share a wall. They're in Times Square. And I can point you to the head of the library and research center who could help you facilitate or maneuver.
Mr. Lee,
if you like.
Just like you mentioned, the Open Lab, I'm open to that alternative option. So I actually do. I want to. So please connect me. Why not? Why not? Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Your English language learners, all Spanish speaking or a mix of Spanish, French, and Dutch? What's the?
Yeah, it's a mix. It's a mix. As you can see on this particular class, we had 61% Dominicans, 20 were Africans, where I had to practice my French with some of them.
Ah, c'est si bon.
Oui, oui, je parle un peu de français.
Je suis originalement mélangé.
Ah, bienvenue.
Wow.
Pardon my French.
It was good.
Okay.
You passed inspection.
Merci,
It was good.
merci, thank you. So 15% was American and only 4% were Argentinians. So in total, 64% are Latin American origins. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Lee.
Among your porteños, those from Argentina, Spanish speaking or Italian speaking or both?
Spanish speaking. Those are Spanish speaking. Yes. Yes, sir. May I have your name, please?
Bill Bernhardt from College of Staten Island.
Welcome.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you for being
I'm
here.
also a user of the New York Times in class, so I'm really interested. I was wondering if students who have a smartphone, such as certain ones that are edited, whether they take notes accompanying this so that the definitions will be just lost, you know. They might get it for the moment, but then, because I guess they would have to otherwise write down on accompanying piece of paper. Do any of them do that with their smartphones, that they take notes along at the same time?
Some of them did. They opened a notepad and they started taking notes. But since I used Blackboard for their test, I was considering the idea that Victoria just mentioned before, that they would probably, on the glossary part, they would create and collaborate with the terms that they had to search, that look up, and then just post them over there with the definition, so the whole class would benefit from this search, from each individual search. Ms. Luz has raised her hand. I thought she had a question, but that's the sign that we only had 5 minutes, and that was when Mr. Lee was talking. So I don't know if you have any final comments. Thank you so much for staying. I hope you liked the presentation.
My question was right.
All right. Thank you so much for your support.